Welcome to the InfoWars Nightly News. It is Tuesday, October 11th, 2016, and I'm Leanne McAdoo. Here is what's coming up tonight.
Tonight, the enemy within. Evidence begins to surface that the infamous tape of Donald Trump's locker room talk about women was actually leaked by the GOP establishment to sabotage Trump. Meanwhile, even Bill O'Reilly admits that the top media organizations have been ordered to destroy Donald Trump's presidential campaign. Then, the Clinton News Network wants you to believe that Bill Clinton's sexual abuses are a conspiracy theory. Plus, the email exchange that Hillary Clinton does not want you to see. The latest data dump from WikiLeaks reveals more incriminating activity from crooked Hillary. All that plus much more up next on the InfoWars Nightly News.
The latest data dump from WikiLeaks is showing us there is an inordinate amount of collusion at every single level to get Hillary Clinton elected as president. But what we're also finding out is it's not just about getting Hillary Clinton elected, it's also about taking out Donald Trump. That even means ruining his entire brand, his career from here on out if he isn't elected president. Now people are talking about that infamous Trump tape, saying, was it actually leaked by Paul Ryan's top advisor? Now, this is Dan Senior. He is Paul Ryan's top advisor, and this is a story that's swirling around the internet after his wife, who is a former NBC reporter, Campbell Brown, she appeared to confirm this claim. So Brown quoted a tweet that said, rumblings that Campbell Brown and Dan Senior are behind the Trump tape leak. And she then responded, yep, still having fun after all these years, key to a happy marriage. So, of course, and he later came out and denied this claim, telling CBS News the story was ludicrous. But in recent weeks and recent days, he's been aggressively pushing this tape and trying to keep the story at the top of the headlines. After his performance at Sunday night's debate, Trump, he was really impressive. And so they want to then go back. He shut down the whole Trump tape thing. He didn't allow that to derail not only the debate, but his career as well. He actually came out on top with that. And then here we have Paul Ryan's top advisor trying to keep the Trump tape trending in the news, keep talking about it. There's no way that Trump is going to kill that story. It's terrible. And it's funny how that is the thing that we have all these establishment Republicans latching onto to finally say, okay, we're going to replace Trump at the final hour. Now, Bill O'Reilly is actually confirming that there's a concerted effort by at least 3 media organizations. They've ordered their employees to destroy Donald Trump. And Bill O'Reilly says that he's talking about big conglomerates, news organizations sending, not officially, but through the corporate grapevine, word that we don't want anybody supporting Trump. And if you study it, you can see which ones they are. Now, of course, we have CBS and NBC really hyping up the GOP civil war and getting really excited about the fact that Donald Trump could take the entire Republican Party down like a house of cards. NBC kicked off their nightly news on Monday with the Civil War emblazoned across the screen. Lester Holt was salivating, saying Donald Trump's fortunes fading over his lewd comments about women. A GOP civil war has broken out. And other NBCs gone on to say this same thing, talking about the GOP being in a free fall, also claiming that new polling shows more voters want Democrats to control Congress by the widest margin since 2013. Like, what polls are they talking about? Okay, Tokyo Rose. These people are pushing out total propaganda. It's just like when Ted Cruz told some Ben Carson supporters, oh, he's dropped out of the race, don't waste your vote on him. They're doing the exact same thing now, trying to kill Donald Trump's momentum and push that message out there that Donald Trump is losing, the GOP is abandoning him, they're in a civil war, it's every man for himself, time to jump ship. So it's total BS. They just want people to get discouraged from going out there and exercising their right to vote for Donald Trump. And he has said he's not going to back down. So now there's another kind of angle that's coming out from the debate. The key moment, of course, in the debate was when Donald Trump told Hillary Clinton, you're lucky that I'm not in power because you'd be in prison. And that was amazing. Everyone was like, yes, that was actually when a lot of undecided voters thought, wow, maybe I could vote for Donald Trump because he's actually going to hold Hillary Clinton accountable, because we can all see that she's absolutely criminal and that she's being protected from every level. Well, here's an article just coming out of Slate, but there's other articles out there taking this same tack. They're saying Donald Trump promised to rip up the foundations of liberal democracy by declaring that he would vow to investigate and prosecute a political opponent using the powers of his office. This is a burst of banana republic machismo. So it's not, Hillary Clinton is not just his political opponent. She actually is a criminal element working within our government. She's a criminal. She should be jailed. And if Donald Trump is there, he's going to actually be in charge of the government. So he can't put special people in charge of that, because as we've seen, there has been some collusion for Hillary Clinton. This is what we're really finding out with this WikiLeaks data dump. It's already a banana republic, and it's in favor of Hillary Clinton. She's not even in power yet. I can't imagine how little truth we'll be getting if she is put in power. Now, The Hill is reporting that the Clinton camp appeared to have contacts with the Department of Justice on the email case. So while they're actively investigating her staff is speaking with them and finding out what the next moves are they're going to make. So this is an official within Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. They were having discussions with sources inside the DOJ. This is in an email from May 2015. It's the Clinton campaign spokesman, Brian Fallon. And he says that the DOJ folks had informed him about an upcoming status conference in one of the lawsuits regarding Clinton's private email setup. Now, this information that he was talking about would have been public information. Someone could have went in and found it, but for whatever reason, the DOJ felt like they should tell him directly. The Clinton campaign manager, Fallon, is a former spokesman with the Department of Justice. I mean, on every level, you can just see that there are people just protecting this woman, cozy relationships within all of these departments. So this is also, of course, going to renew allegations that the Obama administration has a really cozy relationship with the former Secretary of State and her whole entire presidential campaign. Donald Trump talked about this. He tweeted out saying this connection was unbelievable. This is just another example of how the Attorney General should have recused herself, because she is a close personal friend of the Clintons. Proof positive, she said when Bill Clinton entered the plane with her there for more than 30 minutes, that they were having a friendly chat about the kids and stuff. So that right there is a conflict of interest. She should have recused herself from that case. But it shows a level of collusion which calls into question the entire investigation. Indeed, it does. It shows the DOJ was giving Hillary Clinton's campaign inside information about an ongoing investigation into her email server. Reince Priebus says this is deeply disturbing, raises more questions about Bill Clinton's tarmac meeting with the Attorney General, and instead of facing consequences for her actions like other people have, she's been protected at every turn by the Obama administration so she can continue the failed policies of the last 8 years. And that is indeed true. She was getting coaching from the Obama administration about how to handle when it was going to come out about her private email server. And of course, we know the State Department actually coordinated the email release with the Clinton campaign. So these are some more emails coming out of WikiLeaks. This is concerning a speech that the former President Bill Clinton gave abroad, and it's the Department of State provided a detailed readout of official email traffic that it was about to release in response to this FOIA request. Now, this is a common practice. They'll actually allow an agency or a corporation like the Clinton Foundation to review what documents they're about to release via FOIA, so they can see if there's any proprietary information there. But they're giving Heather Samuelson, who's a Clinton aide since the early 2000s, really detailed information about what they're about to release, highlighting exactly when they're going to do it so they can coordinate and, get in front of it. And so she says, no objections by Department of State in this batch, but some lengthy internal discussions among officials that I highlight below. And they go on to talk about President Clinton received an invitation to speak at a climate change conference in Turkey. He would have been compensated by the Turkish government, and also the Canadian government would have paid him for the same type of thing. So these are just things that would have come up that would have ruffled some feathers there, showing that Hillary Clinton, State Department, and the Clinton Foundation were kind of doing a little pay to play there with these speeches. Now, and again, this goes on to talk about how the White House colluded there with her to put the spin on this private server so it wouldn't look bad for the Obama administration. You'll recall he said he wasn't aware that she had this private server. Meanwhile, it came out later that he was using a secret name in order to contact her and communicate with her on this private email server. So of course he knew she had it, and he was using a code name. But that's not all. We can also see that the New York Times and CNBC's John Harwood was actually advising the Clinton campaign. So this was someone who was a debate moderator, and he was one of the ones that actually really he got really excited about the fact that he was able to provoke Trump at the debate. You remember he said, let's be honest, is this a comic book version of a presidential campaign? And he was really proud of himself for that. But he actually gave the Clinton campaign tips about other candidates. He sent an email to Podesta telling him to watch out for Dr. Ben Carson. And he linked to some videos that he had done with some interviews with Ben Carson. And he said, watch out, Ben Carson could give you a real trouble in a general. Okay, and so here we have New York Times, the media, we have Univision. So this is like an entire network now pressuring Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign, telling them, hey, some of the things that Donald Trump was saying about some illegal immigrants from Mexico being drug dealers and rapists, you could really attack this. You could really latch onto this. You guys really should speak out about this. We should get something by standing up for Latinos or attacking Republicans for not condemning his speech. So Huma Abedin responded, well, if he's hearing this, if he's raising this, it means he's hearing it from his Univision colleagues. And of course, the owner there has given millions of dollars to pro-Clinton super PACs. And then the Clinton communications director, Jennifer Palmieri, said in another message, he's right. We should be jamming this all the time. What else can we do? Issue a broader challenge. So here we have the networks colluding with the campaign saying, you know, here's what you guys need to do. We'll really push this for you. The New York Times gives Hillary Clinton veto power. So they're supposed to be independent journalists following Clinton around, following Trump around. But here they gave her the power to veto statements that she made. But this was in regarding a statement that she made about Sarah Palin, but it never made it into the long profile because she was like, nah, that's not going to look good. We also see the Boston Globe coordinating on how to maximize Hillary's presence. So this is Marjorie Pritchard, the Globe's op-ed editor. She contacted Podesta, wondering if they were still set to submit an op-ed, but then she went above and beyond and offered tips about how the campaign could extract maximum benefit from the piece by coordinating its publication to match the Globe's regular reporting. So they knew they had this story coming out that Wednesday. Clinton would be there on Tuesday. So, you know, let's go ahead and time this right for maximum exposure, help out her presence, which includes the fact that this woman has no freaking presence. She's so inauthentic. She's so scripted, so protected, so controlled that it actually tells her in her speech, there's a cue that says, smile. Okay, this is how much of a robot this woman is. And this was coming out of an email where it was shown that she has begun to hate the phrase everyday Americans because she's so out of touch with everyday Americans that she says it's too scripted, too stiff. She can't really, you know, she can't sound convincing when she talks about, you know, just being like everyday Americans. So she wanted to take that out. And then there it was revealed, some of her speech, and it says, smile. So, I mean, and now we also have, you know, on the other side, we've got CNN panelists. WikiLeaks was able to release, they had a surrogate list of all of their favored journalists. So people that we watch every day, we see Rachel Maddow, Chris Hayes, these type of people who are her surrogates, who are willing to put stuff out there for her, be her champion. Here's a CNN panelist appearing on New Day. This is Jackie Kuchinik. She also works for the Daily Beast. So, you know, it's coming from all angles here, print and TV media. She says any accusation of Bill Clinton committing sexual abuse or of Hillary threatening his victims to keep quiet comes straight out of conspiracy theory land. So there you go. It's another conspiracy theory. And then get this. Now, we all know that Hillary Clinton has sock puppet accounts out there, that she pays these AstroTurf paid trolls. And, I get attacked by them all the time. Well, get this. So initially, she was spending about $1 million on Project Breaking Barriers, paying people to respond to negative info. That has increased to over $6 million they're paying people to troll. And what's really interesting is that this AstroTurf effort is going far beyond merely defending Clinton. They're actually targeting and intimidating people who criticize her. So this is going after random people online, trolling them, attacking them. And then, of course, she wants to be the face of the anti-bully campaign. Total crap. We're going to have more on this WikiLeaks coming right up. But here's Margaret Howell.
There's an article up on our website written by Paul Joseph Watson. It talks about the email data dump produced by WikiLeaks earlier today. It outlines an email, get this, written to John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, from Bill Ivey, an admin person within her campaign. This was in March of 2016. Ivey writes that they need the citizenry dumb and compliant. They need you dumb, unaware of what's going on. This is exactly what he wrote in this leaked email. As I've mentioned, we've all been quite content to demean government, drop civics, and in general conspire to produce an unaware and compliant citizenry. Conspire to produce an unaware and compliant citizenry. That's you he's talking about. He goes on to write about Trump's celebrity appeal and how Hillary just can't match it, that he's just way too popular. They don't know what they're going to do. This email, it's amazing. You know, it echoes the sentiment that Jonathan Gruber expressed in 2008, that Obamacare architect. He said the greatest advantage they had to passing it was that the government isn't transparent. Get that. They need just stupid to be able to pass these ridiculous bills into laws that ultimately control your lives. I encourage you, take a look at this article. It's up on our website, written by Paul Joseph Watson in its entirety. While you're at it, download our app, Infowars.com/app. I'm Margaret Howell reporting for Infowars.com.
Joe Biggs here with Infowars.com. Now, today I am joined in studio with two pretty badass warriors right here. We've got U.S. Army Nate Self. We've got Joel Carpenter of the 75th Ranger Regiment. How you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Doing great. Thanks, Joe.
So let's talk about why you guys are here. You've got a book out, Two Wars. You helped co-author it. Tell us a little bit about the book.
Well, the book takes about 10 years of my life from the time I got to West Point as a cadet, training to be an officer in the Army, to a little bit after the time I got out of the Army, about 10 years later. And it includes a significant battle that happened early in the war in Afghanistan on top of a 10,000-foot mountain where we were going in to rescue a Navy SEAL who had been captured and killed, and we didn't know that at the time, but that's the focal point of the book. But the last third of the book is about coming home from war and reintegrating, and that's the second war, if you will.
And what was it like helping write this book, telling his story?
So I actually didn't help write the book, but I adapted the screenplay. So we actually have a movie effort right now, and I was the one that put the screenplay together based on Nate's book, Two Wars. So it was awesome. It was like a historical lesson at the same time.
I'm a U.S. Army veteran, so I know about the Battle of Takur Ghar. You know, a lot of people do. But for those out here who are going to watch this who don't know what it is, give us a rundown about that. You know, like you said, there was a Navy SEAL that went missing. You guys were looking for him. You didn't know at the time that he was dead. And you led a QRF mission, which is a quick reaction force, to go out and lead these guys. So tell us what happened there.
Yeah, I was part of a Ranger unit there. We got there in early 2002, late 2001, early in 2002, and assumed a mission as part of Task Force 11 to kill or capture Al-Qaeda's top leaders. And so the small task force included SEALs. And it was late February, we started an operation southeastern Afghanistan known as Operation Anaconda. And the intent of the mission was for a SEAL team to insert on top, near the top of a mountain called Takur Ghar. And there they would set up an observation post. As they went in, they came under fire, and the helicopter pilots flew their helicopter away, and a SEAL named Neil Roberts, part of SEAL Team 6, fell out of his helicopter and into an enemy strong point. He was fighting there alone as his helicopter flew away. His team went back there to try to get him about an hour later, but my team was also called to come in and try to reinforce the SEAL team or to find this missing SEAL. And so we went in just about daybreak on March the 4th, 2002, and on the same mountaintop, right before my helicopter landed, we were shot down, and immediately in a firefight all day.
What's that got to be like? What's going through your mind? You know, you're already putting yourself out there. You're risking your life to go try and get this SEAL, and then you already got all these things going through your mind. You know, before you go to a mission, what's going to happen? Are my guys going to come back? Am I going to do the right thing? All this stuff goes through your mind, and then you get shot down. I mean, what's going through your mind at that point? I mean, that's got to be intense.
Well, the preparation that you mentioned, Joe, is you think through scenarios a lot in your training and in your reading of military history and in your mental preparation and just discussions with the guys. You don't necessarily expect things to go that badly, but you're also not necessarily feeling a high degree of fear because you're with your team, you're highly trained, and you're focused on what needs to be done. And so going in there, we had spent a few months in Afghanistan up to that point with not much action. So we were pretty excited, but we knew that having a missing man from our force on the ground was as significant a mission as we could have had. And so we were really focused. And like I said, not expecting things to go badly. Once you find yourself shot down on this mountaintop with heavy gunfire coming inside the helicopter before we even got out, it's quite a shock.
So we've seen what's happened with Benghazi. You know, I've talked to Chris Peranto quite a few times, you know, run into him here and there. He's been on the show. You know, he got left there. You know, what are your thoughts on what happened with Benghazi, with Hillary Clinton? What do you think about that whole instance? There's a lot of people that have mixed emotions, mixed feelings about it, but how are you as a vet, who's someone who's been there, who knows what it kind of feels like to be stranded over there and not know if anybody back here is even paying attention?
Yeah, I think when you're on the ground and you're executing mission, whether you're a contractor supporting our government or you're actually in uniform executing a mission, you somehow have a way of separating policy and decisions that are made at higher levels, and you're just focused on getting the job done and getting everyone home alive. And having been in that kind of situation where, very similarly on this mountaintop, we knew that we weren't going to get reinforcements. We kind of knew that it was just us for several hours, and every decision we made could have meant the demise of all of us, or it could have prolonged that. But it was really just us for a while. That's a pretty heavy feeling, and although you have the support of the whole country, there are certain situations where it's not there. And I was in a situation that for several hours, because of our communication situation and where we were, and a lack of communication on our part because we were so overwhelmed for a matter of a couple of hours, we were literally alone. And that feeling is one that, like I said, it's pretty heavy. But when you know who's around you, and you know what you've been through in training, and you know what you're willing to do for each other, you don't believe that you're going to fail.
Now, were you injured while you were over there?
I took a little bit of shrapnel in my right leg. We had several men die in this battle. Several on board my helicopter. 6 of us from our team gave their lives to bring Neil Roberts home, and he was the 7th casualty, or the first casualty, if you want to look at it that way. But several others wounded, including me.
It's pretty intense. Anything you'd like to add, Joel, as well?
No, I mean, I worked as a security contractor after my time with Ranger Regiment, and I was actually in Baghdad when Benghazi took place, and we were operating out of a hotel in the red zone. So I always, my worst fear was, what could happen. I mean, we could have easily been overrun. And I think everybody was aware of that. But just like Nate said, like, you become focused on the mission at hand, and you almost get lost in that. Maybe it's a good thing, but you're hoping for the best. And a lot of times I don't even think in my mind I ever thought that it was an option, that, you know, death was an option, not because from an arrogant point of view, but it just seemed like, okay, we just have to do, you know, A, B, and C and get through this. So, you know, I never, in my time in regiment, I never experienced anything like Nate did with those other Rangers. A lot of those guys are my friends, and I've been on hundreds of combat missions, and we just never had that. So it's amazing to me that you can be from the same unit. Nate and I were actually served in the same company, and at different times, and then, you know, have such differences in what he went through and then what my experience in regiment was, you know, fairly positive. Every mission that we went on, it was like mission success, came back, 0 incident. So, you know, my empathy goes out to Nate and all those guys that fought that day.
Well, it truly is an amazing story. We look forward to being able to see the show coming out, The Warfighters. Tell us a little bit about that really quick, where to see it, when it's coming out, and then that'll be it.
Yeah, so Warfighters is, that is a Film 45. That's Pete Berg's company that's putting that out. And there's 2 individuals. One of them is from, he's a veteran also from Ranger Regiment 75th. His name is Mike Baumgarten. And then Ray Mendoza is a SEAL. Those 2 are the producers, along with Pete Berg on Warfighters. They put this out. One of their episodes is on the Battle of Talcagar. And we, you know, participated in that filming, Nate especially, approximately 8 months to a year ago. So, you know, it's pretty much goes over the battle and gives a really good synopsis of what happened. So we're looking forward to that. The first episode's going to come out on Veterans Day, and I think there's 4 episodes that will air that day. And then the Battle of Talcagar episode is scheduled to be released sometime in the new year.
Awesome. Well, cool, man. Glad to have you guys on here. Thanks for sharing your story with us. We're going to go into the studio now with Alex Jones, where we're going to go in more in depth and talk about a lot of these issues as well. This has been Joe Biggs with INFOWARS.com.
I have no doubt that I am Bill Clinton's son. It was common knowledge. Everyone in Arkansas knew. Everywhere I went, they pointed, that's Bill Clinton's son right there. He looked like him, don't he? The ears, the mouth, the chin, the teeth, the eyes, the nose. I see him in me. You can see a black Bill Clinton. When I brush my hair, I can see Bill Clinton with waves in his head. I always felt bad about him not wanting to be in my life. Was it because I was black? Was it something wrong with me? Why he don't want to be a part of me? It made me think of even sometimes suicide. It's not fair, and it has been hurtful. That he still refused to acknowledge me. Well, time was very hard, and my mom was a working girl on the streets. She was heavy on drugs.
My name is Lucia Bolton. My sister's Barbara Williams, Danny Williams' mother. She's a prostitute, and she, you know, hung around on the streets on 17th and Main. She met him on the streets.
I was told that she was with him on 13 occasions.
You know, like, you don't know, about 5 or 6 months after, you know, they had dated and everything. She said she was pregnant either.
My mom went to prison and lost custody of us. My Aunt Lucille stepped up and gained guardianship of us. She raised us in Little Rock, Arkansas. At the time, we was from group home to house. My Aunt Lucille wanted to have a father in my life. As a small child, she took me to the governor mansion.
There was a car coming at the front gate, right? And the gate swings open. I ran up in there and ran behind the gate, okay?
She was trying to get him to accept me and notice me.
When I got to the door, I asked for her, and the door was slammed in my face.
Slammed the door in her face. This is Bill's son. He had the black son out here.
And these little guys hit him off the side of the place.
Hillary, she had guys chase him off the property.
And I went to run and jump the fence. You know, get the hell out of there.
I read history. Basically goes back to slave owners. When they have a child with one of their slaves and the wives try to have them banished off the plantation. What century is this? It just wasn't right.
Every child in this state is somebody, because we're going to give them every chance we can.
And honestly, we were needing child support at the time. My mom was in prison.
We was poor, okay? We had nothing. Who gonna listen to us, really?
My older sister was working at a gas station.
We have no money to pay lawyers. They just shut us up.
My mom told me on a few occasions where she was threatened.
She ain't told us to leave them alone because we're gonna come up missing.
She was also pushed out a 2-story window where she got a metal plate in her foot. To this day, she still feels scared of speaking.
And they was trying to get information of what Bobby Williams was so they can give her, I guess some hush money.
In fact, my mother did receive 7 $100 bills a month in the mailbox. Even presents on Christmas that was delivered to my home by state troopers. So I felt he was trying to be a part of my life. And then when he became president, everything stopped. In 1995, when my father was president of the United States, the state of Arkansas put us in foster care. I lived in foster homes. It made me feel horrible because I know his child, Chelsea, was well taken care of, and we was house to house, hungry at nights. And to know that my father was the president, it hurts. Try to imagine that your own father refused to love you, refused to say that you exist. Knowing who my father was and that he was so close yet so far away made my pain unbearable. Growing up in Little Rock School District system, it was difficulties because you got gang members, drug activities at the schools. And I wanted more to life. I didn't want to end up dead in the streets for nothing. Moving from home to home, not having a stable place to go. It came to a point in high school where I had to drop out to take care of my little sisters and brothers and make sure they were stable and able to go to school every day. I got a job full-time at a donut shop my 11th grade year to support my sisters and brothers. If I had the love and support of my father that stayed on me, made sure I had the best education, I feel I would have had a better life. In 1999, they tried to sweep me under the rug with Bill Clinton's friend publishing this phony DNA test. It never was a DNA test.
Roger Altman. Roger is a longtime friend of mine.
Just think about it. It was published in a tabloid owned by a donor of Bill Clinton. Even to this day, Megyn Kelly, Howard Kirk, they continue to quote this bogus DNA test, and it really hurts. I would love to see the DNA test done. Several times, I tried to reach out to the Clintons. People say all the time, you're gonna get yourself killed dealing with the Clintons. I wrote letters to his library. I wrote letters to addresses I got off the internet, even emailed him from Facebook on his Facebook pages. I never got any response back. Once in Little Rock, Arkansas, I visited the Clinton Library. I wanted to see how it felt to be his president, and he was speaking. But by the time we made it there, he was already gone. We took a tour through the library, and just to see all the things he'd done in the world, helping other kids in Haiti and, all the other places, it just saddened me because I never received any help from him. Hillary started running for president. She visited Little Rock at one of her campaign stops. I put myself right in front of the podium where she spoke. She was looking right at me, eye contact. In my heart, I was thinking she knew who I was.
I met with a small group of the Black Lives Matter activists.
It made me wonder if she's saying Black Lives Matter, why I don't matter to her.
And I just felt for them.
I was going to introduce myself as Danny Williams, her husband's son, and her stepson.
I am a new grandmother, in case you haven't heard.
I had millions of questions to ask, why?
We're going to do everything we can to make sure she has every opportunity.
As soon as she spoke, she got out of there. I didn't get to talk to my stepmom. I could never imagine having a child and not acknowledge him. As I know how it feels to not have a parent in your life. I work construction. I am a person of faith. I take my kids to church every Sunday. I teach my sons how to keep bad language out your mouth, how to speak properly with yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. Recently, I've been telling my kids that their grandfather was the president of the United States. And they amazed by it. They like, no, you know, is it for real? And I tell them, yes, you know, that is my father. And I'm gonna make sure you get to meet him one day. Hillary, please do not deny I exist. I am your stepson. Chelsea is my sister. And Bill is my father.
Super predators. We have to bring them to heel.
I felt bad when Hillary called black people super predators and that we need to be brought to heel. I'm black. I'm real. I am her stepson, and I deserve the love that she has given Chelsea. We hear my stepmother tells the nation every day, we're stronger together. They know who I am, and I know who I am. I have to meet my father. I have to know that he's willing to even accept me. I have to know that I don't know. Like any child, I want to know my dad and I want him to know me. I'm his only son in the world, and he's my only dad. We have to come together. We have to. If Black lives truly matter to you, please contact me.
If you look at Bill Clinton, far worse, minor words, and his was action. His was what he's done to women. There's never been anybody in the history of politics in this nation that's been so abusive to women. Bill Clinton was abusive to women. Hillary Clinton attacked those same women and attacked them viciously. 4 of them here tonight.
So much of what he's just said is not right, but he gets to run his campaign any way he chooses.
WikiLeaks has just released another 1,100 emails coming from the John Podesta data dump. This is the 3rd data dump. Julian Assange has said that he has up to 50,000 messages that are going to be very damaging to Hillary Clinton's campaign. Of course, the timing is proving to be a major headache to Hillary Clinton as well as her supporters. I don't think that this is going to do any real damage to her before the election, especially since the mainstream media refuses to pick up on it and give it any traction. It is, however, going to do some long-term damage to liberty by what we're seeing within these WikiLeaks. And this is coming from just one person. All the collusion, all the corruption. Owen Schroyer, Margaret Howell joining me now. What did you guys think about? What were your big stories?
Well, John Podesta, let's just remind people, John Podesta, he was a special counselor to Barack Obama. Not only that, but he was her senior campaign manager. He currently is. And these emails, they're so telling of how she really thinks and feels, how she thinks about us. And there were 2 pieces that I found particularly interesting. The first one that I wanted to bring, Saudi Arabia and Qatar are actually funding logistically and materially and financially support for ISIS. They're funding ISIS. This was the content of this email. She writes it to John Podesta, who at that point was the counselor to the president, and she's saying that Saudi Arabia and Qatar are both giving financial and logistical support to the Islamic State along with other extremist groups. Now, keep in mind, this is the same Saudi Arabia that donates to the Clinton Foundation. Oh, by the way, they're also providing material support for ISIS in this email leak. This is what she writes. She writes, while the military-paramilitary operation is moving forward, we need to use our diplomatic and more traditional intelligence assets to bring pressure on these governments because she knows that they're providing this sort of support. How explosive is that?
Right.
Hello.
She knows that.
Taking their money, though.
Exactly. Still going to take their money, not going to give that back. And also we know that in 2010, her top aide said that the up to $60 billion in weapons transfers of fighter jets and helicopters to Saudi Arabia was a top priority. I mean, this is in addition to all the other billions of dollars in weapons transfers.
What do you think they're doing
Hillary
with
Clinton did with her State Department. But she knows that they're funding terrorism and providing
radical extremists is what they're funding, along with ISIS, which you would think that we would fall on the side of right when it comes to ISIS and begin, fighting them ourselves instead of arming them. We know that she armed them on the ground. We also know that she's aware that Saudi Arabia, her BFF, is doing the same thing.
So then this exploits the double standard, or I guess exposes the double standard, where she says she's for women's rights. She says she's for, LGBTQRSDW, whole alphabet rights. But then she is clearly working with countries like Saudi Arabia that give almost no rights to women or homosexual people or transsexual people, whoever it is, especially in the radical Islamic areas that have been taken over. And the other double standard that I have here that really bothers me, and I think shows the true nature of where the election is right now as far as the coverage. You talked about how you want to really cover this and talk about this because the mainstream media is not going to do it. They're not going to talk about it. They're not going to show the general population these email leaks. Most people are going to have no idea.
All they're going to talk about is how it's Russia, and they're saying now that the Clinton campaign is really pushing this. Like, don't worry about the contents. It's just the bad thing is that we were hacked into by the Russians. I mean, are you kidding me? They have no proof.
Without proof.
Well, and imagine if this was Donald Trump's campaign that had these emails leaked. It was Donald Trump's campaign that showed he was working with countries that have funded ISIS. It was Donald Trump's campaign that has infighting going on about how they're going to control the narrative in the media. You've got other stories we're going to cover. So, to me, regardless of policy or where you fall politically in this election, how can people not just look at this double standard in news coverage and at least scratch their head as to why Donald Trump gets beaten all day long and they completely ignore the obvious corruption in the Hillary Clinton campaign that comes right from her own emails?
Right. I mean, it is absolutely insane. And, I'm starting to get a little bit discouraged with all of this because there's so much collusion at every single level. I mean, we're seeing the heads of networks, print media, Hollywood, and as well as like the GOP and other insiders there. I mean, it's from every single level. There's so much collusion here, but yet they want us to. We even had Al Gore today going to Florida saying, your vote really, 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 really matters. Take it from me. And it's like, dude, you had the election stolen from you.
Right.
What are you talking? It's so rigged. And so, I try not to get discouraged about the fact that Hillary Clinton is probably going to win. The electoral college is going to give it to her for sure. But what this is going to show people, I think so many people have woken up this election cycle to the absolute corruption.
That reminds me, and we covered this morning. Alex touched on it on the show this morning as well. There was a second leak that, it lends to this point. They want people dumb and compliant. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but this was between John Podesta and a man named Bill Ivey in March of 2016. And they said, look, we're taking advantage of the fact that people are basically, I'm paraphrasing again, dumb, uninformed, and very compliant. That was the word that he used. And
that's the fluoride.
That's how, I know, it's like how much fluoride do you need to drink before you're so compliant you don't question any of this?
Well, and also, too, to just see how many of these different networks. Here we got the story INFOWARS, Paul Joseph Watson, a leaked email showing that the Clinton Foundation was in communication with comedian John Oliver a year before the election. Even they're already buddying up, and they saying, we've spoken with his team, they're working on it, and people are pointing out how John Oliver is always doing these Donald Trump hit pieces. He hasn't done a single one on Hillary Clinton's campaign, even though she'd be such easy fodder with all these scandals.
And you know what's amazing about that is, and we've got other ones here. I've got emails, Donna Brazil basically working with Hillary Clinton. We've seen other media outlets working with the Clinton campaign, not just to defeat Sanders, but now to defeat Trump and using the debates and giving her an edge in the debates. That's been exposed in these emails. And it's just amazing to me to sit here. Again, I'm obviously a Trump supporter. I'm not trying to hide I'm a Donald Trump supporter. Alex Jones is not trying to hide he's a Donald Trump supporter. You need to go into our emails and hack our emails to figure out who we like. We wear our emotions on our sleeve. John Oliver and all of these other mainstream pundits, they act like they're neutral. They pretend they're neutral.
Right.
Okay, they're obviously not neutral. And what this is, it's a psychological effort into making you out there the neutral voter who's sitting at home saying, I'm neutral, I don't like either one of these guys, I'm just right down the middle, I'm trying to figure out what's the right thing to do. And so they pretend they're with you, they're neutral, they're in the same boat. These emails, these WikiLeaks completely expose it. And as we've covered, again, this is a double standard. As you said, he could be roasting Hillary Clinton like a turkey ham, a turkey chicken, whatever, all the turducken on Thanksgiving, and he completely ignores all of this. So my question is, and I know this is a little bit, off topic, but, is John Oliver compromised? Is John Oliver a political weapon in the media, or is he just a complete shill or a complete moron? I don't know. I don't get it. I used to think it was funny.
Think about the surrogate list that they released that showed all of the people within the media, within Hollywood. Here we have Hollywood directors, the guy that founded Miramax coming out and colluding with the Clinton campaign to get this woman elected. And obviously we see how many millions of dollars Hollywood is donating to Hillary Clinton. So, of course, they're all going to want to rally around her and make sure that their money goes really far. But talking about a double standard, if anyone had done what Hillary Clinton did with her email, I mean, the stuff that's come out about the DOJ and the State Department and the FBI.
And Trump's campaign made an official statement on that today.
Well, Trump actually, we need to go back to this. He obliterated her in that debate, saying that she belongs in jail. If anything else that people walk away from these stories, it's that there is significant wrongdoing on her part. She does belong in jail. Just take a look at the evidence. Go to our website if you need more of it.
Yeah.
But it's
but she didn't say anything mean, though. She didn't say anything that offended me, so I should ignore this.
Right, yeah. She didn't say anything offensive that, you know, is going to hurt the women, even though most women amongst ourselves would probably say a lot more perverse things, you know, just being honest. But this is, you know, this is just further proof that you cannot trust the mainstream media. You can't trust the establishment media. I mean, BuzzFeed and these other outlets that used to be just kind of for fun. You'd think they were the alternative media. Even they're compromised. It's just frightening.
I just want to point this out, too, for some of you, and not to take this off topic, but Hillary Clinton joked about Lenny Kravitz's genitals in front of Lena Dunham. We never point that out. You know, she actually made a wisecrack concerning male parts herself.
Split his pants. You're right.
Hello?
Bill Clinton makes jokes about Bill Clinton makes jokes about how Hillary's a lesbian all the time. You know, I mean, again, I agree, Leanne. This just, if anything, okay, we already knew this was all probably going on. We didn't need the WikiLeaks to do it. Now the public can realize it's going on. The mainstream media has proven themselves corrupt because they will not shed light on this.
Well, and we are going to stay on these WikiLeaks. This is so important. We're going to be talking about these, breaking them down throughout the rest of the week. Thank you, WikiLeaks. You came through. You did not wiki roll us, and we really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And thank you all for tuning in to the show tonight. We really appreciate it. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. We'll see you here tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central.